Hello, Namaste and Jai Hind. Welcome to DAD Think Labs, and this is Raj Kumar from Design Awareness Drive, India's biggest design community. So in this class we are going to deal about how and what are the topics that you need to care before thinking that how to observe. So in the last class, I have discussed about what is the observation and how to observe. And now I'll tell you what are the stepwise points that you need to keep in mind before going for observation. So in this class we are going to discuss 10 step and 10 different ways of combining observatory skills and getting it into you. So basically in this class I'll be dealing about different ways of doing it, different techniques and tools to imbibe in yourself so that you can be a very good observatory mind.
देश के सबसे बड़े डिजाइन समुदाय में आपका स्वागत है। डीएडी परिवार का एक हिस्सा बनने के लिए आज ही रजिस्टर करें और डिजाइन जागरूकता अभियान के सभी साधनों का इस्तेमाल करें। वेलकम टू द इंडियाज बिगेस्ट डिजाइन कम्युनिटी। रजिस्टर ऑफिशियली टू बी अ डीएडी मेंबर एंड यूटिलाइज ऑल द रिसोर्सेज ऑफ डिजाइन अवेयरनेस ड्राइव।
Observation is a process where you see something and utilize your own knowledge and infer information from that. You derive information from that. And utilizing those informations, you are trying to do something which is required to do. For example, if you are supposed to do a sketching out of observations, you do that. If you are supposed to write out of observation, you do that. You might be able to design a collage. You might be required to or able to design maybe a video or a film. So wherever you are, whenever you are supposed to be observatory and take out the information and trying to utilize it for your own personal use. So observation is not only limited to design students or maybe design profession. It is very important and it is a very holistic topic that is always there in our daily lives. So how and what are the topics that you need to care of? So we'll talk about 10 different steps. 10 ways of doing observation. So one is when you talk about observation, the first thing you do is you keep on checking your own attitude. So you keep in mind, right? So what is the attitude you are taking forward yourself with? You are taking yourself with a positive attitude, you are having the negative attitude, or maybe the mood, right? And attitude is many ways or in the most of the times dependent on your moods. So what kind of mood you have, right? So if you're in a positive mood, your attitude is going to be very positive. If you're in a very negative mood, your attitude is going to be negative. And when you are in negative attitude, you're having a negative mood, you will be distracted and you might end up observing things in a negative way. You might have a different approach towards that. So that is something you need to take care of and you'll have to be sure of, right? Second is how do you keep yourself connected towards the space? So the space around you. So we have always been talking about that observe in the space, observe in the area you dwell. So we talk about space around. It means, for example, if I am here, I am standing in a space where we all are supposed to be. So I have my own space right now. I have a studio where I am kind of teaching. So basically I have a space. So how do I interact with the space? How do I behave in that space? Might be I have a chair. I was supposed, for example, if I have a chair, I am sitting on it, or maybe I am trying to fiddle with it, or I am trying to utilize it as a support system to teach. Maybe I would be standing with the help of the chair, or maybe I would be, kind of laying down on the chair. That is how you do, how you interact with the space and what kind of space you are occupying. For example, if you are in a room, So in that room, which space do you allocate for whatever you are doing? That is very important. That you have to keep in mind, right? So your own space is very, very, very important in terms of how do you do it. Next is how do you behave with your family members? How do you behave with family members? So you keep on noticing your activities, their activities. So basically, where do you learn? Your home is the first school, and your family members are the first teachers. They teach you with their activities, their own way of doing things. They teach with several steps they take on a daily basis. So you keep on observing the family members. You keep on keeping a strict eye on them, and you need not stand and you kind of observe. Okay, yeah, I am watching you. It's not that. It should be very spontaneous. It should be very on the go. You will be learning. You will be learning spontaneously. You will be learning with a very effortlessly. That's supposed to be very effortless. You will be not putting an effort to learn. It's because you're not reading something, right? You're not planning something. You're simply seeing it, observing it. And sometimes you don't even see, right? You have different senses. So we'll have this class in the next session where we'll talk about how to take your different senses in use. That is also there. So yeah, you observe your family members. Then you look at your friends, right? What they do, how to do. Because most of the times, whatever you are a reflection of your friendships. What kind of friendship you have, what kind of what kind of interaction you do with your friends. That is also very important. How is your what are the interactive ways of doing interaction with your friends? How do you spend time with your friends? Where do you go? Where do you have leisure time? How do you work together? How do you interact with things happening? So these things are always there. You have to keep in mind. Apart from that, we talk about how you interact with your neighbors. Then how you interact with your products and items that you use, right? If you have pets, how do you interact with those? How do you interact with animals, right? How do you interact with nature, right? And then you keep on seeing that how do you interact with strangers. How do you interact with strangers? What do you think when strangers are near you, and how do you behave with them? So I'm explaining all these points one by one once we are having the list. And then you keep on seeing your childhood memories, right? So this is most important, but I wrote it in the end. Because when you get into childhood memories, you get lost. But those memories are really, really important. Those are really important, and those are the stories. Those are the stories that make you very confident. Because see, anything that you are doing right now, and if it gets connected with anything that you have been doing in past when you were a kid, or maybe you have seen your parents doing it, or maybe if you are stuck in a situation, and the decisions you take at that point of time, if it gets aligned with what you have been seeing your parents doing, or elders doing, or maybe your best friends doing, that kind of gets authenticated. So that is how childhood memories are really important. So in coming to the memories and coming to your childhood activities, that those things are really important, that you have to keep track of your things. Always keep on going back to your childhood, right? People say that do not think of the past. I'm not saying that childhood memories are just your past. Childhood memories are the memories where you keep yourself alive, where you are still a kid even at age of whatever you are dwelling in. That is important. So once you are happy with your childhood memories, that is also a huge difference which makes in your observation. So that is how it is. And now when we come to strangers, so there are several ways of behaving with strangers. You see your father or mother or parents interacting with strangers, they might interact in a very mature way. But when you interact, you might wait and see and watch and sometimes when you're a kid, kids interact in a very different manner. So they don't wait and see who the stranger is. They simply bump and jump into them, right? But when we grow elder and elder, we grow older and older, we tend to find reasons to talk to people, and that is where your mindset stops. Right? So when you see this, and now I'm not very sure, but if I remember the data properly, there are 72 ways of a kid to observe on a daily basis. They observe in 72 different manners. They perform 72 creative activities through their observation. But at age of 60, we only perform 4 activities that are creative. Because we stop observing. We have our own plans, we have our own priorities, we have our own things to do. That is why when you come to observation, do not set your own priorities. When you observe things, first thing you do is unlearn. Right? And then only you open to learning. So observation is a process where you take new things, right? You learn from those things just because you unlearn. You don't want to put your own assessment, you don't want to put your own point of views on that. You see, you assess. See, putting assessment, you need not keep on assessing a lot. If you are in a situation, you cannot keep on assessing the situation. There is a time frame which needs to be given to the assessment, and you have to assess it faster, and you have to interact with the situation, and then you have to act accordingly to come out of the situation, or maybe to be connected to the situation. So these things are always there. So you unlearn, then you learn. So when you start observing things, you get new insights. When you get new insights, you unlearn things. Because when you unlearn, you create a space to learn new things. So this is how it is. So stay connected to your own attitude. See and keep check of your moods. Try to be in a good mood. Try to be in a good mood. Yes, there are times when your moods are high and low, but try to manage it. That is important. Then we talk about the space around, how people in space are. Sorry, how space, only the space you are in. That is important. Where you place things, where you place a pen, where you place a paper. Are you putting your books back after studying or not? Are you putting your chair back after eating or not? Are you putting your plates back in the sink after eating or not? So these things are that you have to keep in mind. You have to keep on interacting with the space as well. You have to keep observing your family members where you see. Try to observe them. Then do not try to sit and keep on saying that, yeah, that's what I'm repeating again. Do not repeating it. Then do not try to observe sitting back. When you sit and observe, you don't have that sense. You don't feel like you are trying to unlearn. So when you sit and learn, you try to add on and you try to glue your own ways of doing it. So whenever you are observing, it has to be very spontaneous. You do not need to sit and observe that, yes, I'm observing. That's not the case. That hardly happens. So observation is a very, very on-the-go process. You keep on, doing your activity and you're hearing your parents, your father and all. You can see how they are interacting with how your father is answering your mother, how his mother is answering your father, how they're interacting in some situation where they're stuck in, or maybe in a place where you are supposed to take decision for you as well. So those things are there. Friends, again, they are very important. You have to keep observing them as well. You have to observe your neighbors. You have to observe the products. How are they made? How empathetic they are. What are the problems they're solving? Those two big things should be kept in mind. Your pets and animals, their characters, how they behave, the nature, the strangers, and then the childhood memories. So out of all these, the most important thing is your childhood memories. Childhood memories are the most important thing in terms of observation. Because see, when you connect things back, you find yourself in a very good position and you love to do those things. That is really important. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, you have to keep your senses open, very, very open. In next class, I'll be coming up with how to utilize your senses and how to understand what and how your five senses do work, and how do you take in consideration in any work or at any point of time your senses. That is important, right? So that's it for this class. Jai Hind.